All right, can everybody see my screen? Yep, good.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go over a lot of information tonight. Know that I will pause after each slide and kind of wait for questions so that we can continue on. I did try to cover everything, so if I haven't addressed it, I may be addressing it in future slides. So if you want to hold your question to the end, you also can do that. So we can do that either way, but I'm happy to pause or tell you that I'm going to be addressing it. So just the regular overview of this, the deliverables for the round 1 submission is a 2-page overview of your idea, a 1 to 2 minute video pitch. I just realized I don't even have the word minutes on there. 1 to 2 minute video pitch. It is due midnight on Sunday, October 18th. Somehow that's always a issue with students. They're like, well, do you mean midnight on I don't know how that is confusing to people, but like literally 11:59 Sunday night, October 18th is when that is due. So just to be very clear about those things. Okay, the first step. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to mccloskey.ideacenter.indy.edu. On there is create an account. I'll go over this part of it because you can do this at any point. So you can do this tonight and start your submission, and you don't have to have all of your stuff ready to go right away. But this is what we're going to be asking in that first step, your team name. The thing I want to emphasize here is whatever team name that you pick, that is something that you should carry throughout the entire competition. So really think about what you want that to be. Most students are picking the name of their venture. So whatever idea, product, service that is the team name. Some students struggle in this beginning portion and they're like, well, I'm not sure what I want to name the team, and they'll like name it Team Lisa. And we require that you keep that name throughout the competition. Well, Team Lisa really doesn't talk about what your venture is. So really be mindful about what you're going to name it. If when you do this submission now and you're like, oh, today I'm not sure what I'm going to call it, I'm going to put this in here. As long as you make that change before you do your final submission before October 18th, you can name it whatever you want right here. It's going to ask you a business category. So there's a drop down and it'll ask you if you're in, is it a SaaS space? Is it architecture? Is it energy? Is it all of these different industries that we use as like pitch book labels? Pick what best describes your venture. So a lot of things are, it may be a platform and it does this, this, and this, and students are like, well, I'm not really sure what category it is. It's just an overarching what category best fits your idea. If none of those selections work for you, simply click other and type it in. We use that business category to help match you with judges for the competition. So that's why that part is important. Secondly, it'll ask you the competition category. That is how you're going to compete. So as a team leader, if you are submitting an idea, it is what you are. So if you're a current undergraduate student, that's what you would select. If you are a current graduate student in a certain thing, this is what you would pick. This shows us what kind of student teams they are, and it also lets us know what kind of categories you can compete in. So there is a $10,000 prize for the best undergrad venture, a $10,000 prize for the best graduate. So these different things help us determine which category you compete in. Typically, it is the team leader's identity to Notre Dame is how you compete. It'll ask you if you are a social venture. So do you want to be considered for the $25,000 Best Social Impact Prize? So you click yes or no so that our judges and our sponsors know that you're competing in that prize range. I do see the chat right now. One team can win in multiple categories. Yes, that is a correct answer. The public summary is a 3 to 5 sentence paragraph that describes your venture. This will carry throughout the entire competition for you. So anytime we do any kind of public display of the ventures competing in McCloskey, this is something that will kind of carry through the competition with you. You're not going to divulge any proprietary information in this. It's just a statement about your venture. Team members. So when you as a team leader go in, submit the idea, it pre-populates you as the leader of the team. The leader of the team is typically the founder, the person whose idea it is, and the leader of the team is who we communicate with. So we don't send communication to everybody on your team. We only communicate with the team leader. So if there are things that you need your team to know, you as a team leader have to communicate that with them. As you add team members to your submission, and you can do that again throughout the competition, you can add team members, so you don't have to have a fully formatted team right now. When you give them access, you're going to say that they're either an editor or a viewer. An editor can actually go in and upload your documents for you. A viewer can just see the information that is in there. So that's the distinguishing part of that. So I'm going to stop right here. Does anybody have any questions regarding that process?
Can you just a little do a little bit more clarification on like the public summary piece?
Yes, and I think this will help you a little bit too. We're going to, at the end of this, we're going to send you samples of previous submissions for round one, both the overview and the video pitches. So we will be providing that. But it's really like if you submitted your idea to the Ideal Center and they asked you, tell us about your idea. That's kind of like this. What is my venture? What problem does it solve? What is it going to do? So just something that we have. And Annalisa, another thing that we could supply them with is the digital program from last year. That might be something good to add to that packet for them so that they can see that.
Yes, great. No, I will definitely do that. We have a question from Grant. Is there assistance for finding team members?
There is, and I'll address that in just a minute, Grant. So what is the round one overview? The round one overview breaks it down into these categories. This is a 2-page document. And you can picture it as a PDF that has each one of these topics as a heading, and then you're going to put your information in text underneath all this. It doesn't have to be fancy. You're not adding graphs and doing all kinds of crazy stuff at this point in time. This is really, let's get to the chase of your idea. What I'm telling students in my experience of doing this competition for years and years and years, I really have gotten to know what the judges are looking for. And what the great thing about McCloskey is, and the great thing about this round one entry is, McCloskey is an educational experience. So we aren't expecting you to know right now the answers to every question. We aren't expecting you to, if you don't already have an idea of what your business model is going to be, that's okay. If you don't have a fully formatted team right now, that is okay. What our judges are looking for is, one, that you address each one of these topics. So don't gloss over it if you don't know it. Address it. If you don't know how you're going to, if you haven't even thought really hard about like your business or operation model, you know you have to have one, right? So tell us about that. Tell us what you think it might be. Tell us which direction that you're thinking about going. I'm thinking of going in this direction, but I'm unsure. I think that this would be best for this type of product. But what is going to happen is the judges are going to know, one, that you've addressed it, and two, you have some kind of inkling of where you want to go. And that's where this feedback that the judges are going to give you comes into such tremendous help for you, because they're going to say, well, in my opinion, you really should go this route. or I'm working in this field and this is what we have done. I know somebody in this industry, let me connect you to help you get to this point. And so what they're really looking for at round one is that you've thought of these things, you address them. If you don't have a full management team, and when they say management team, it's the team. It's the team for your competition. If it's just you right now, say what you need. Say, this is my idea. I understand I need somebody to help me with marketing. I need somebody to bring on to help with my financials. Identify that. Judges love that. They love that you have addressed it. You know that there is something that you need to work on, and they just want to hear about that. So I can't stress that point enough. Address each one of these topics as you're going through. One of the other main focuses that are really good to put some time on is your challenge section. So really talk to us about, you realize that it's going to be hard to, there's a barrier to market for this, but you feel so strongly about your product or service that you're willing to, go down whatever road it takes to get there. And then this indie force for good. You need to really stop and think about how your idea makes the world a better place, how it serves a need in the market, in the world. Not everybody's curing cancer. Not everybody is solving, homelessness or these kind of things. But if you really think about why you're doing this, why you came to Notre Dame and wanted to make a difference, put that passion in that part of it. Really dig deep and think about that, because as a part of a requirement of McCloskey is that component. Every venture doesn't have to be a social venture, but you should be thinking about how you can impact the world, the area, the community, whatever, in your submission. So I'm going to pause again right there and see if we have any specific questions around any of those, and know that we're going to send you samples of some of last year's submissions. Samples of last year's submissions. Is that clear as mud?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Christine.
Yeah, so my question is, would you have a recommendation on, there's two ways this can go for me. I have an idea. Should I pitch it and just go through the process as an educational experience, even if I don't feel ready? Or the other route of should I try to get on a team and support someone and learn through their process? Do you have any input on that?
Yes. So what I say is that you're going to learn either way, right? You're going to get a great experience either way. If you're super passionate, and I kind of know how passionate you are in particular about what you want to do, it's risk-free to take that step. And what you're going to get is a lot of great feedback, where you might not launch this business, this year, but you're going to learn amazing things to get you there. And if judges feel your passion and you get some great direction on where to take that, there's no telling where you can go from round one to round two. You can make some great strides in that. So I say go with your gut. You're going to learn a lot in both experiences, but I find that students learn the most when they're doing something that they're passionate about. So either do your thing or find an idea that speaks to you that you really can get behind, and you can learn through that the same way. Does that help explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that follows into my clarification question of is the end game to launch immediately if you're to win? Is that the expectation?
No. The expectation is to learn and grow through this.
Okay.
And by winning prize money, it is funding to take your business to the next level. So we've had businesses or ventures that have won and they've gone on and done great things. We've had businesses that have won and we're just kind of sitting there for years while they're gaining, steam. We had a venture last year that won $10,000 for the best venture coming out of the College of Science. And then they have just taken off and what they're doing. Are they a, you know, fully, you know, $1 million business at this time? Not yet, right? But it gives you notoriety, what's that word I'm looking for? You know, great stuff to say, hey, I won this national, you know, competition. I won this much funding. It just gives a little oomph to your venture.
Okay, cool.
I'll also note, Christine, just going to jump in quickly here, you know, we've seen students who are like alumni come back, and maybe they went through one McCloskey and they're coming back for a second one. They're looking for students. So it's not, let's say you decide to go to the student connections route and you support someone. You could be looking at a relationship with a mentor on a team who's kind of been through the ropes before. So there's, I really think, I would just second what Patty said. Either way, you're going to learn. And know that this has been going on for a long time. So you're in really good hands with the judges. I think you'll learn a lot.
Cool.
And we do have a lot of repeat McCloskey. So you can do it a subsequent year as long as you haven't won the grand prize. Okay. You can come back, and I've seen those teams do amazing. So they've already gone through it once. They're coming back. They've learned a lot, and they're like, okay, I know how to do this. And they come back and they get to the final round. And I think the one team last year did win the $50,000, and they were a second-time McCloskey participant. So the experience that they learned from that is amazing.
That's cool. All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have a couple quick questions. She's
Yep.
A lot of questions on my end. Do people have to be involved in Notre Dame to be in this competition, or is it a national, like anybody, anywhere?
So the people who can enter into the competition as the team leader, the founder, has to be a Notre Dame grad or undergrad, an alumni, a community member in the 3-county region. So that's St. Joe, Elkhart, and Marshall County. Is that it?
Sounds like most of it.
Yep, that's it. You as a team, and faculty and staff can be a part of it. But okay. You as a team member can bring somebody from another school to be a part of your team. You can, I've had people have their, you know, parents, well, most of the parents were alums of the team as a part of their team. But yeah, as long as we know who they are and the person who fits the criteria for the competition is the team leader, then that is how it goes. We keep, I did say national recognition, but I love McCloskey competition, so I talk about it like that, right? But the premise of us kind of keeping it close knit is because maybe because we're Notre Dame and we think very highly of ourselves, but we have such a great network just within the Notre Dame community that we really don't feel like we need to open it up, and we want our groups competing against each other and learning from each other. So I haven't ever been pushed hard to open it up to outside universities or anything like that, and probably won't be. Does that answer your question, Grant?
Yeah, definitely. Secondly, just curious, the money that you win does have to go towards your business, right? It's not just a personal prize.
Yep, I'll explain that too. I'll just explain.
No, later, don't worry.
No, I'll explain it here because we only dive into just a little bit. Prize money, we encourage teams to have the money go to the entity. So you form an LLC and have it go to the entity. That's the easiest way. That's the best way for tax purposes. However, we have had teams who have won who choose to take the money to themselves, take the money and divide it up to their team. And you have to make that decision only if you make it to the semifinal round. And if you make it to the semifinal round, we will ask you to say, if you win any money, it will be delegated in this way. and all your team has to sign off. So if you have a team that you're pulling in a bunch of students on, you just need to let them know that, hey, if we win prize money, it's going to the entity. And just make sure you have that conversation up front. Any of these students, when I talk about connecting students with teams, any of these students are not expecting pay. That's not anything that we do. That is something that if a founder decides they want to disperse money to the team, they can do that. That's their decision, but we at the Ideal Center stay out of that. But students know when they sign up to be on a team that there's no expectation for pay.
Great. That helps answer the question. And
Okay.
so
All right.
last one.
Yes.
Maybe I could save it for the end, but on the same idea or theme of what Christine was talking about, if you're thinking about pursuing an idea versus going on a team, should we talk to someone at the Idea Center, like submit, like say you had 2 or 3 ideas floating around, you weren't sure which one you wanted to pursue for this competition? Could you talk to like the
Yes.
Idea Center? We should run that through.
So I always
advise us and help.
Yep, I always, my door is always open for this kind of thing. I can kind of steer you in the right way. If you haven't already submitted an idea to the Ideal Center through our pipeline process, then I would definitely be the person to kind of help guide you on which one I thought had the most potential. You can enter more than one idea, just so that you know, as long as you have enough information to fill out the round 1 overview for each one of those ideas. I've had a student submit 3 into McCloskey before, one that actually had 2 go to semifinal round. So like they're students who really have great ideas going on. So if you have the energy and the passion to pursue more than one, throw them in. But if you want to have a discussion and talk about, hey, I'm not sure which one I feel most passionate about, what has the most legs, definitely set up an appointment to talk to me. And then similarly, any student who is at the point where they're getting ready for submission and they're nervous, they're not sure if they've got everything right, I would be happy to take a look at that for you and, go through it and just tell you from my, perspective, if you covered everything and how that would look.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, John.
Well, so one thing I was going to ask is, how important is it to have like actual customers already, like by the time you submit, or at least like have like a beta test going where you at least have like real users like trying the product?
It's helpful. However, if you're not at that point yet, talk about what your plan is. Talk about, I had this amazing idea. I'm getting ready to launch, this survey with this many customers to find out X, Y, Z. That is exactly what we want to see you do. So again, just if you haven't done it yet, tell us about what you're going to do. All right, I'm going to talk about the video submission. This has been sitting up here for a while, so I won't go into great length. 1 to 2 minutes in length, no longer than the 2-minute period. This is a very simple video, right? This is not a, go into your basement in a fancy studio type production. It is take it with your iPhone, upload it to YouTube. What the judges are wanting to see here is your passion for your venture. I can't stress that part enough. If they don't see that you're excited about what you're doing, you will not do well in this competition. So really let us see that passion. And anybody, I see several faces on here who have pitched at some of our events before. Very similar format. Let us know who you are, what your idea is, why it's the best solution, and just have that come through. If you have a team, they can be a part of that. But again, casual but passionate is really what we want to see and hear. And this is just a supplement to your round 1 submission. So they see a PDF with, you know, a bunch of text, and then this just is an add-on, be like, yes, this is a student who has the passion to go after and do this. That is the only form we'll take, is an upload to YouTube, and you just take the link and put it in the submission form. Does anybody have a question about video submissions? Good, 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 good. And I've said this a lot. What they want to see is a passion, a plan. Do you have a team? And if you don't, do you know who you need to bring on your team? And then do you know your next steps? So those are a couple things here. I'm gonna go back maybe. I'll talk a little bit about that connecting with students. So for McCloskey, we have 2 different ways to connect with students. Right now, we have student connections going. So student connections is simply a form, thank you, Annalisa, a form to say, hi, my name is John, I work, you know, my degree is this, or this is what I'm going to school for, this is my skills, expertise, what I'm learning in the classroom, I want to be a part of a team. Similarly, you as a team leader, founder, fill out a form saying, you know, hi, my name's Christine, this is my business, this is what I need help with. And then we go behind the scenes and make these matches with the students. So it's really, students are, I think we have 150 or so students already on Student Connections who are like, yes, put me on a team. And we give them the option. So we'll go to a group of students that meet your request. We'll say, hey, Christine has this idea. She's looking for students in this, this, and this. Would you like an introduction? And then we make that introduction. So we want them to know what your venture is. We want them, like I was talking to Christine, like, is it something that you're passionate about? Because that's where you're going to get really great buy-in from your students. And these students who are signing up, they're only doing this because they want experience. They want the experience to put on their resume. They want the experience to show that they really have done something tangible. They're actually going out there and making that. Lilia is asking about, is it a disadvantage to be a one-person team? It is not a disadvantage. However, I would stress that launching a business in any sense of the world is a huge task, right? And one person shouldn't take all of the responsibilities of all the parts of your business on your own. So as you're thinking about right now, if your venture is in an ideation stage, in the design stage, and you like, I got this all under control, yes, that's probably great. But if you actually want to launch this business, you're going to have to, you know, deploy marketing and financials and business skills. And so you are going to want to bring on a team of people. No, I know very few ventures out there that are launched that are a one-person team. So really think about, you know, what you really need, what skill set may you lack that you need to bring somebody on, even if it's for a delegation and adding that stuff. You could be a leader and a teacher in that process. And so that's an advantage for yourself, and it's an advantage to a student. But I can say that in the 12 years that I've been doing this, I have never seen anybody win with a one-person team, if I'm going to be very frank and honest. So I really encourage you to think about branching out and seeing what's out there to help you. Does that help answer the question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, great. Let's see. So this is a bunch of information of what happens next. I tell you guys this just because people often ask it at the end, like what happens next? So your submission gets to us by October 18th. The judging for this happens between October 24th and November 7th. So you guys are uploading your documents. we have a panel of over 400 judges that I'm going to put, 12 to 16 different judges on your specific venture. They're going to go through and they're going to evaluate you on every one of those topics, the company overview, the marketing, the challenges, all of this stuff. They're going to give you a score. You will not see the score, but you will see feedback, and they're required to give you feedback on every single point. So you can imagine you're going to get, 10 to 12 different sets of feedback from judges to help move you to the next step. So I find that is just something that is, you can't get that anywhere else. So that's why I'm always like, do McCloskey, because you're just going to get some amazing feedback on there. We're going to announce who's moving on to round 2 the week of November 11th. So we're going to take the scoring, we're going to look at the judges' feedback, and we're going to move a percentage of students from round 1 to round 2. I tell you that are here now that we take a large percentage. We don't have even a number in mind. We really look at it objectively. But if I can tell you, last year we had 184 teams submit to McCloskey, and we moved 155 teams to round 2. And so we take a large chunk, and that's because even if you still need work on your idea, we see it as an educational experience. We do that because at round 2, you can then apply for a mentor, and a mentor can really take you to the next level and get you prepared for that round 2 submission. And so we want to see as many students move from round 1 to round 2 as possible, so that you can gain all of that experience of going through those steps. When I talk about student connections and finding teams, if during that period of time between now and this November 12th date, you haven't found a student yet, we're going to hold what's called a McCloskey matchmaking event. This is where you as a team leader gets to stand up, say, hi, my name's Christine. This is my idea. I'm looking for a student help in marketing and tech or whatever it might be. And the room or the Zoom room will be populated with students who are on Student Connections or who haven't signed up for Student Connections yet, that they can hear you pitch your idea and hopefully make meaningful connections in that respect. So 2 ways, but I would tell you now to start looking for students on Student Connections and not wait for the matchmaking event, and let that be an add-on for you, because you want to get moving as soon as you can. So, but we do have that event coming up. We'll make sure that you're matched with a mentor by December 7th. So you have to let us know by November 20th if you want a mentor, and then we'll find you a mentor by December 7th and make those introductions. Then your transitional business plan is due January 31st. And so you'll have your mentor for that whole 2-month period of time to really help you move from round 1 to round 2. Should you make it past round 2, your mentor can stay with you. So there's no saying that the mentor's done at that point in time. We've had mentors actually become on your advisory board. We've had mentors invest into your business. So these are people who are just super engaged with what we're doing at the Idea Center and really just want to help students move their idea forward. So you can apply for a mentor and tell us exactly what kind of mentor you're looking for, and then we do again this back-end matching process where we find that mentor and make that connection. We just only ask that if you apply for a mentor, that you utilize your mentor. You don't say I need one and then don't connect with them, don't follow up on your meetings, miss meetings, things like that, because those mentors will come back to us and say, hey, I haven't heard from my student, it's this, this, and this, and that will reflect poorly on you for scoring for your round 2 submission. So I'm gonna pause here. So what kind of people are mentors? No, they are not students. So some are judges that are judging the competition. Some are judges who judged you in round one and has actually said, come back to me and said, hey, if they ask for a mentor, I would love to be a mentor. So they're really into this whole process. But so we have this huge network of people. We ask them if they want to be judges, mentors, or both. And then they just wait in the sidelines and wait to be assigned to teams. But mentors are not the students. There are alum, industry experts, people in our network that are just friends of the Ideal Center, but very successful people that qualify for this type of programming, but not students. There may be some MBA students, so the executive MBA program. Students are asking to be mentors, but they're executives that are coming back for education, right? And so they bring back a whole lot of experience. So those are the types of people that are mentors.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, this is one of the best parts of McCloskey. I remember last year, an executive from Chicago, he worked on brands like Tide and General Mills, and he knew all about product and marketing. And his wife was also in industry, and I was just amazed that these people are just coming back of their own accord. So you never know who you're going to meet. And if you guys have any, fears about like, oh, will the judges be hard on me? Will I be able to even make it? I mean, I've looked at so many comments and they're just really helpful. So they will, they'll just help you. And it's a wonderful opportunity.
And I'll also share some insider information with you. So because you guys don't see the scores, you just see the feedback, you might see feedback that you're like, oh, well, they didn't really understand my venture. I wonder if they scored me badly, all of this stuff. I want to let you know that we watch that very closely. So like one time I had a judge that apparently was in a bad mood and was just giving everybody all kinds of heck. And I look at every single evaluation as they come in. So we have a good eye on making sure we don't have any rogue people doing anything crazy. At round two, when we're looking for teams to go into the semifinal round, we do what's called a judge's difficulty score. So we have judges who score very harsh and we have judges who score very softly. So we actually do a calculation on the back end to make sure that all of those scoring come in evenly. And so we do take great extra strides and steps to make sure that you're scored fairly. A question from the earlier session today was like how many I talked about from round one to round two. Round two, moving into the semifinal round, we take 30 semifinalists. So for however many people make it to round two, we narrow that down to 30 semifinalists. Every semifinalist is eligible for every single prize except for the $50,000 grand prize. The only team that's exclusive to is somebody who made it to the final round. So semifinal round is 30. You're giving in-person pitches. That is the last week of April. And then that's on a Thursday. And then it is determined who moves on to the finals, and you pitch live at our live event, hopefully, if all this world goes back to normal, and it's 5 finalists. And so, but you're eligible for the $25,000 best social impact, the $10,000 separate prizes for best grad and undergrad. All the other prizes, every semifinalist is eligible for those prizes. So every team is invited to the final round. Sorry, I looked at somebody's pitch and lost my train of thought. I just want to let you know, if you didn't make it to the finals, it doesn't mean you're out of the prize money, right? You still are able to do those processes. Brady is asking which team members usually pitch. So if you make it to are you talking about for the round one submission, or are you talking about semifinal round?
Maybe the later rounds.
Yep. So usually your entire team pitches. You can have up to 7 team members. I would say the average team is 4. If you are let's say, I don't have this case right now, but just say if you're not interested in submitting your own idea and you get paired up with an alumni, if they make it to the semifinal round, the student has to be the primary pitcher of the event. But if you're a student with your idea, you can present with just a couple or your whole team. We really encourage you to divide it up by your team. Just to my point of, it takes a team to launch a business. And so you want the judges to see that there's people in your pocket that's really helping you move that idea forward.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yes.
Oh, was there someone else?
Nope, that was just me talking.
Oh, okay. I don't recall. Did you say there's a cap to how many members can be on a team?
7 is the total for what you can input into the platform.
Okay.
You could have more than 7. You just don't highlight them as part of your team.
Yeah.
So that's really, and like if you have so some ventures that are a little further along might have board of advisors or people outside of Notre Dame that's a part of their team that is just sitting on a board or whatever. You can put that in your overview, but you don't necessarily have to identify them as team members. That's totally up to you.
Got it.
And sometimes ventures, your team members may not be your eventual team that helps move this forward. Your team members are for McCloskey. And so you list them so that they get credit for being a part of your team.
Okay. So I guess that plays into my next question then, because I'm trying to, if I were to build a team, my idea is coffee related. I would think I want people invested into the coffee industry, invested into rural international development. But in terms of the key people that I would need to launch a business, that's another category of finance, marketing, different things. So would you, I guess my question is how strategically should we be building teams based on function versus buy-in?
I say function right now is the most important. However, make sure that it's a right fit. So make sure that they believe in what you're doing. So any student that comes on your team, because it's just a bigger buy-in, and I don't think that you'll have a problem with that. So our students here, they're very passionate about that. And I've had very few students balk at, oh, it's this kind of venture, I'm not really interested. They're in it because they want to learn about all kinds of different industries. That might not be what they do when they grow up and graduate, right? But right now, it's teaching them a lot of stuff about an industry that they may not know about but are curious. And I wouldn't shy away from that kind of student.
Oh, Annalisa, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Christine, that would be a great conversation if there's anyone on the call who has submitted their idea and is currently in conversation with a startup coach. They would be a great person to ask because they'll probably have some recommendations on what a stack looks like. So based on your venture or your industry, I think you kind of hit it on the head already. You probably want to have someone in the marketing user area. You want to have someone building maybe some software or some tech.
Right, supply chain, that kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't overthink it, but if it's helpful to people, and there's a lot of people who are wondering how do I build a team, reach out to Patty and just kind of create an appointment with her because that could be something that we can help you with and just try to identify.
So the last kind of cap of this question, and I'll hand it off to whoever's next. So what I'm hearing, I'm not sure I'm hearing it correctly, but when I submit my application for round 1, do I have to have a team solidified, the list of names? So up until round 2, then, because you're saying there's a McCloskey matchmaking event on November 12th, up until that point, I could still be formulating and kind of networking, trying to figure out my team.
Exactly. But in your round 1 submission, when it asks about your team, identify that like right now it's me and I need this, this, and this.
Okay. And they have to fit within that, essentially. You can't just like randomly throw people in there.
What do you mean fit?
Because like you said on the round 1 interview, one of the things like management teams, like say what your needs are.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, let's just use that example I've been using. Like I need a finance person and I need a market, like brand management person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I submit the round 1, I move on to round 2, but as I'm building it, within the timeline from now until then, I met this like coffee guru and I'm like, I want him on my team, but he doesn't fill the criteria.
Oh, yeah. No, that's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, perfect. Thank you.
No worries. Brady, your question about intellectual property rights and choosing a venture name. So I'm just going to kind of make an assumption here. You need to, when you're picking a name, you need to make sure that there isn't any other place that has that name. You can pick a name and then go after the fact and gain rights to that, apply for, the rights to a name. You don't have to have it to name your team that, but be very aware what you intend on calling something, because if a judge Googles something and they find it out there, they'll be like, oh, well, you need to be aware there's already a team with this name, and they're going to think that you didn't do your research. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Ideal Center employees can be on teams. Patty will not be on a team. I got too much going on and I'm too deeply involved with the judging and watching how all of that comes through. So I cannot be a part of that as much as I would love, but I can give feedback, I can take surveys, I can do any of that kind of stuff to help you along, but I can't be a part of your team. But Ideal Center employees can. I kind of caution that just for the fact that sometimes some of them are judges and not really mentors, but I do have a lot of Ideal staff that do the judging. So just be cautious in how you're doing that. But if you have a startup coach, they could be on your team if they agree to be. So if they're a student intern, what have you, that could happen. Susan, team members you choose are based upon skill set, which comes from the business plan, or are you just answering? Were you answering Christine's? Okay. Veteran.
Layla had a question.
What's that?
Someone raised their hand, I think. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. Quick question. So does the winning team have to give like equity to the investors, or like do they still own the business?
You still own the business. We take no equity in any student businesses.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions for us?
I have a quick question.
Yep.
Yeah, so up until now, so I kind of tried to, go it alone, but I think it might be, beneficial for me to at least try to either start or join a team, at some point. So what steps, would you normally recommend to try to find potential team members? Like, I think that part is one of the things that I'm a little bit less clear on. Like, I know there was like an email, like where there was some form where you could submit info to try to match with team members. What would be some steps that we could take to try to find people who might be interested to work together?
Yep. So Annalisa just put in the chat the link for Student Connections. Student Connections is exactly that. You're going to fill out the Google form, say, hi, my name is John. This is my name of my idea. This is what it is. I'm looking for students to help in X, Y, and Z. Then we will go to the pool of students that have already filled out this form, that have listed their expertise, their passions, their desires, what they want to do. We'll behind the scenes find a group of students. We'll reach out to them, say, hi, we have John, he's working on this, he's looking for a student in this, are you interested in a connection? If they say yes, we connect you guys, and then you see if it's a good fit or not.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Okay, great. And then, so would you say that's the main method, or are there other methods also that would be recommended, or has that generally been the most effective?
That is one of the most effectives. If you're part of a cohort, a group, a club, any of that, you can talk about your idea within that group and say, hey, I'm getting ready to enter McCloskey. This is my idea. Is anybody interested in getting on board with me? Make those connections yourself. You certainly can do that. But student connections is your best bet. Your second best bet is reaching out to your own network within your cohort, or waiting and coming to the McCloskey matchmaking thing, pitch your idea and see if there are students there who are interested in joining your team.
Okay. And I guess one question I always have with that kind of makes it tricky is like, how would it then, like, say if it, if the idea got to a point where it started, generating real revenue and taking off, like how would, ownership in the venture get, divided up at that point? Like if there wasn't really a clear, like agreement on that from the beginning, or would you want to, like, when you form a team, would you want to have some kind of like clear, like agreement about, how that would work? Or
Yep. So typically team members that you find that you're asking to join your team in McCloskey are there to help you through the competition. At the point in time where if you make it to the semifinal round, so you're in the running for prize money, you would have a conversation with the team members saying, hey, if we win a prize, I'm putting all the money into the venture. The students have no tie to that money whatsoever. We don't promise that you are going to dole out any money. That is you as a founder. If you win prize money, most students all have it go straight into the entity. The team members as a part of this are your team for McCloskey. They don't have to be team members that you carry on that are going to actually be employed by your business or a promise of any kind of job. It is an experience for them to learn, an experience for them to help you move forward. And so that doesn't necessarily have to be the people that you stick with, right? So just know that it's team for the competition. If they work out and they're awesome and amazing, you can keep them around for as long as you want to. But for the competition itself, you wouldn't have to have that discussion until you made it to the semifinal round.
Okay, great.
Okay. So Susan, you should just come and take my job, man. You're just answering all my questions. Any disadvantage to choosing a nonprofit over a for-profit idea? Susan's given some great thought on there. We always want you to think about how you can become a sustainable business. And so you really need to talk about, your business model, but there isn't an advantage or a disadvantage for submitting that kind of idea. But we can help connect you with people to decide if you want to do the 501c3 or any of those things. We can connect you with the right people to do that. Any other questions? Again, Annalisa will be sending an email right after this with links to everything that we put in the chat. There will be samples of last year's round one submissions, last year's round one video pitches, so you can kind of see the difference in students' ideas and how they formulated everything. Again, any questions whatsoever, please make an appointment, come and talk to me. I would be happy to look over things, help you with your next steps, anything to help you make you successful in this. But I'm telling you, it's one of the greatest experiences that you can get. Susan, who's been commenting throughout this, has been a longtime judge of the competition and now is considering submitting an idea herself through that process. So that just kind of goes to show you that, you know, it is a great program, and what we're doing here is really helping educate students, getting them on the path for success, and hopefully, you know, throwing some prize money around to you for that. Any last thoughts? All right, perfect. It was great. I'm glad you guys spent this time with us. And again, just get a hold of us if you have any further questions. We'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Can you
Thank you.
stay on real quick?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.